Good morning, everybody. Takeoff Tuesday. Welcome, welcome. Going down. GM. See you all here. Just as a reminder, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So get uncomfortable. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Let's get to work. Takeoff Tuesday. GM. All right, quick announcement. Okay. Hey, we're going to be having a team cookout. There we go. Team cookout, team camp out, team hangout, some networking, some fun, and a great place to bring guests to and show them our community. So we are having a camp out September 12th through the 14th. There is a sign up sheet right here. Last year was so much fun. And there was some great connections and relationships that were built. So highly recommend you guys join us. And it was teams from all over, California, Colorado, Oregon, Arizona, Idaho, Utah, Nevada. I think there was someone from Florida there too. Anyway, you don't have to be from Salt Lake to come. It's for everybody, but please sign up so we can get the whole thing arranged. Also, if you are in Utah and you want to take advantage of this event tonight in Lehigh, Jared's going to be going over wholesaling pros and cons, do's and don'ts. So check that out as well. That is in the Team Elevate Facebook group, which link to that is here in the chat. There we go. Close this out here. Okay, fantastic. We are 86 days and 45 minutes. I'm putting 85 days. 85 days away from our E3 event. So I saw more people get their tickets over the weekend. The VIP ticket's 500. Early bird general admission ticket is 200. So let's make the best of it. Look at all these incredible people you get to learn from. Mr. Snyder, Chris Alvin, Jay Stark, Matt Snyder, Randall Cloud, Woody Woodward, Garrett Gunderson, Richard Stock, Brian Sump, Michael Huggins, Scott Rowe, Mitch Nelson, Whitney Stark, Jason Andrews, Bob Tierney, Jeff Armstrong, Nancy Rowe, Eric Counts, Bill Predebon, Umair Hawk, Troy Dunn, Patrick Munson, and Dan Cragen. With a few more that will be coming too. So anyway, pack the house. It's gonna be great. Going to be great. All right, quote of the week, quote of the day. Nothing works unless you do. And then there's Mr. Snyder saying, get to work. Nothing works unless you do. Awesome. Yep. What a great reminder. Nothing works unless you do. I know a bunch of you got some work done yesterday. Dude, door knocking, doing the flip challenge. I've been watching you guys go through it. And those of you who are playing the flip challenge, the 90-day extravaganza, you are working. We see it. Well done. Okay. So, like I said, there's also the accelerator this Saturday with Mitch and Maley and Jason Andrus. If you guys want to register, put your guests in for that. The most compelling invitation to join Renata so far. The most compelling, meaning the highest conversion ratio. Most people are saying yes when they see it. It is the First Loop Challenge Accelerator this Saturday. So there are two different events. One's for students, one's for guests. Okay, please register yourself. And it's going to be Renata's Corp, Renata's headquarters. It's going to be awesome. So they start at 8:30 Mountain Time, 7:30 Central at Renata's headquarters. Get there at 8 o'clock, help set up, help meet and greet, help say hi, make everyone feel cozy and warm and welcomed. And top 10. Okay, we'll need to come back maybe tomorrow, get the update. Okay, let's jump into it. Here we are. Takeoff Tuesday. Now is the time. Watch your classes. Maintain a high level of competence as we get into this next arena of real estate investing, marketing, business ownership. You know, things on taxes are changing. Things on banking, credit, retirement accounts are changing. And, you know, they always do, but you want to be in the know. And so definitely at E3, you know, with all the other instructors, presenters, trainers that we're going to have there, you are going to be up to date with the latest and greatest on all the stuff that affects you immediately, as well as some long-term stuff. But let's get the low-hanging fruit. Let's get the stuff that's affecting us now. So watch your classes, get registered, move your calendar around. What I'd recommend is coming a day or two early and staying a day or two after, if you can. Obviously, you're going to make a lot more friends there. So if you can stay after and hang out, foster those relationships, or even come a few days early and plug into local events and make some more friends that way as well. Bring some guests. You know, a few of you are going to come a few days early, then go all around Salt Lake City networking, finding people, and you're going to bring some guests. Those guests are going to love what they see, and they're going to decide to join. So you can make some money at the event instead of just getting trained up. So watch your classes, 85 days, let's go. Okay, Takeoff Tuesday. We get to hear from Mr. Bill Predebon today. Send a quick reminder out to some team members who you know need to be on this call, who need to be more focused, diligent on their daily habits, and get them over here. Share link at the bottom of the Zoom panel here. We'll get them over here. Also, as a reminder and an endorsement to come off of mute, ask questions, use the chat. Not many people get an opportunity like this, so don't take it for granted to be able to ask someone with such experience, knowledge, know-how, and the ability to just shoot it straight is so welcomed here. That this time that we have with Bill Predebon is honored, so use it. So for those of you who are brand new, Mr. Bill Predebon has been around the block, meaning he's done fix and flips, he's done short sales, he's done auctions, he's done wholesaling, he's done short-term rentals, long-term rentals. He's raised tens of millions of dollars in capital. He has done new construction from the ground up, and even working on subdivisions and fundraising for giant residential developments. He's also got some commercial businesses as well. Guys, he is all over the real estate map. He never rests. He is always working on himself or his business or his relationships, always improving in every area of life that he's after. So we're happy to have him here. Gain some wisdom, some insight, some knowledge. And let's give a big warm welcome to the host, Mr. Bill Predebon. GM.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning. Thanks for being here.
It's awesome. Thanks for the intro. And I just love being here with you, brother.
Yeah.
Same
Yep.
goes for you, man. If you know, folks, you've got Michael Huggins. He's cleared the $4 million mark in marketing and fees paid out to him and his wife from Renatus, you know, in a relatively short period of time. If you think about it, he's been around the block, right? But 14 years is not that long of a career, right? Most people don't make, you know, half that money in a 40-year career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it may seem like a long time when you think 14 years, but we've all signed up for the program of of a 40 or 50-year career. So that's just that's just fantastic. So, having him here and putting this together for us is a blessing. So please take advantage as well, like we said. Um, one of the things I was thinking about this morning. So again, if anybody has if you have a thought, something you're working on, a guest you're working with, a problem you're working on to resolve in your business or your work relationships, your marketing, a property, whatever it is, we will do the best. And to be honest, the group chimes in, has their own experience, and is welcome to give feedback as well. So it's a really good mastermind opportunity today on these Tuesdays. We kind of hit it all over the place when between myself, Michael, and Dane, and what we're able to bring to the table with you guys. But it's all because of you guys and girls that we're able to do this. It has nothing to do with us, really. Um, so absolutely, whatever you guys think about, yeah, Millionaire Mastermind, 100%. It's a good deal. So, you know, we've got some. I mean, I'm looking forward to E3. I really like the idea of being an instructor. I really enjoyed putting the class together. It's been out there. It's kind of hard to watch your own class. I don't know if hard's the right word. It's humbling and exciting at the same time, but interesting to say the least. But uh, so I'm excited about it. So I'm excited to be back at E3. I'm looking forward to, if they need me or ask me to be a part of the masterminds and the special luncheons for the VIP. I'm excited to do that. And so we've been putting together our own marketing um, plan, if you will, and really working on taking advantage of all that corporate has to offer. What the product has, and just a new, fresh look at the marketing. And where I'm going with this is one thing about the Renatus business opportunity that is missed. I shouldn't say missed, but is overlooked a little bit. Is we don't have any quotas, right? When you're 5 star for life. As long as you just, pay your stupid 197. I mean, it's so cheap to be able to go out and make a sale and make 12 grand, right? Um, you can take a hiatus. You can go adventure. You can go fail in a business or, lose your butt on a real estate deal and come back and make 12 grand a month or a week with this opportunity because it's never changing. I mean, it's only growing, right? I mean, it's not like it's becoming obsolete. It's not like it's never gonna like it's not like the product and the service is ever going away. It's like, if you're a doctor and you stop practicing, but you keep up your license and you ever want to go back and practice, we're always going to need healthcare, right? We're always going to need doctors. We're always going to need engineers, right? So we have an opportunity where we're always going to need a word of mouth individual to go out and market. I mean, if you think about Mitch and Maley, they decided after some hiccups and and I like the word decided, right? That the best opportunity they've experienced after trying it over and over again on their own and doing things differently, they came back to what they were, which is a 5 star individual, um, and took their skill set that they developed outside of Renatus and brought it into Renatus to sell the product. And they were gone for years, and so we don't have um, we don't have quotas. We don't have um, a certain number of people that have to produce underneath you in order to keep your status and make the highest amount of money. Um, your 5 star reach is unlimited to where you can override 3 people deep as far wide as you want. It never is limited or restricted. So it's really cool. So I'm excited. Renatus has decided that corporate and Bob and the home team have decided that the E3 system worked the first time. They're going to put it together. So they do all the heavy lifting, and the only thing we need to do is build for it, right? And at any given time, we're able to do we're able to re-engage and jump in the market. So it's really cool. We can take that to our prospects and remind them that it is a choice. It's not something they have to do all the time or any time for that matter, but it's something that's there for them if they ever want it. Um, so I think it's a really good benefit to ourselves. And again, we've got to help ourselves first. And it's interesting, when you follow Mitch and Maley or you follow, Jared Brenchley, right? The idea was to help yourself, even myself, in real estate first. And then all of a sudden, when you start to make your own sales, you start to do deals, and then you're making sales on top of it, then it's easier to have team members making sales. So it's kind of a little bit of a I don't know. There's some inevitability right there when you look at it. All right. It's been a while since I have been here. What is E3? Oh, hi, Amy. That is the conference that we're doing this fall. Michael, you can answer that better than me, or not better necessarily, but it's the conference that we did for nationals. We called it E3, and so it was such a success. We when I say we, I mean Renatus Corporate and us. We all put in a real estate aspect to the national with an unbelievable amount of speakers speaking for 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour. We had a full lineup of both instructors and marketers. We addressed the full um, wealth cycle with Renatus over the 3-day event, and we allowed guests for the first time to come to the national conference. So instead of breaking it up and training all of the marketers, we're doing it simultaneously while offering an opportunity and doing a closing at a sales pitch at the event for guests that are there. So this one's coming up in October. Michael, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yep. Yeah, well said. And essentially, it's getting the latest and greatest tips, ideas from people who are in the trenches working right now, or this is their prime business. But then also make money with it. Bring a guest, bring 5, bring 10. There's some people who earlier this week were talking about bringing 20, 30, 50 guests. So obviously there's a certain percentage that are going to sign up. And last time we did this, we signed up a lot of people who could be signed up. Now we're focusing on expanding the room so we can have more guests in there. So we're expecting 750 or so to attend. And I'm expecting that 500 come from our group. The other 250 from, the various other groups, the Chicago, New York, Florida, California, Texas, Atlanta. There's a bunch of other teams, Indiana. But our team here is going to get the bulk of it. So just putting that out there, high expectations on all of you to bring 500 people.
So that being said, a couple things I think that are important. I was coaching with one of my coaches the other day, and I constantly review my 5-year plan, and my 5-year plan has a 1, 3, 4, and 5-year plan to it, right? Because it is a moving target. It does change. Like your desires and your wants and even your goals will adjust. Your life will change, and your plan needs to change with it. But I think it's important to have a vision and a plan and review it and see if you're on pace. It's amazing, what you'll notice when you do review it and when you change it and what you've accomplished. And again, I like the idea of making a decision. We spend, unfortunately, probably too much time um, on these calls, just naturally. Um, and we really try to not do it, but to talk at you and 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 share with you what we believe is in your best interest. But obviously, those things have to come up, have to be decided by you. What we're sharing with you is just our experiences and our ideas, but ultimately, it's your decision. But if we don't have a vision, if we don't have a plan, if we don't have, some sort of um, goal, and I'm not a goal oriented type guy, like where I write down my goals and I do a SWOT analysis every year or anything like that. But nonetheless, I clearly I fortunately am always thinking about what it is I'm looking to do and get and have. And so I write down like if you looked at my desk, there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be cleaned up. I mean, I have the same things written down over and over and over again, right? And I will cross them off if I don't want to do them anymore. But my point is that it's something that I'm always, fortunately, in my brain, the way it works, I get constantly think about it. It's actually sometimes bad because my brain never doesn't really shut off necessarily, unless maybe I'm watching a movie. Um, but if that movie is not that good, I'm typically working or doing something along those lines, but which is not uh, conducive to family time. But anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. So just think about it. I would say, if you don't have a 5 or 1 year goal, a plan rather, mine's on a spreadsheet. I keep it on all of my computers, laptop, whatever, and I can pull it right up and it's in a Word doc and I can change it. I can add to it. Movie time is my sleep time. That's funny. Yeah, so many people fall asleep at movies. If you put it on at 2 in the morning and it's a good movie, I'm gonna stay up until it's over. A TV show, whatever it is, I love it. I probably watch too much TV. All right. So, any thoughts, comments, questions? Anybody thinking of anything? I don't see any hands or anything yet. So, um, one of the things I've been noticing, and I think that um sometimes even myself, is that we have the ability to control whatever it is that we want. Um, and fortunately, we have a tool. Michael mentioned it earlier. Watch your classes. And I know that's pretty generic. Um, I would consider being very specific as to what classes you're watching, how you're watching them, when you're watching them, so that they bring the most value to you. Um, but again, it's going to pertain to your plan. Um, I can promise you that I have not watched 90 classes. Um, so uh, I don't watch every single class. Um, but when there's some classes like the Bridger Pennington's class, when that came out, I mean, I knew that I was going to watch that class, right? I haven't wholesaled property in quite a long time. So I've not watched the wholesale class, right? But understanding wholesaling, once you get it, it's not something necessarily that you might need a refresher on. But if I was Jared, for example, I would probably still have that class up and running all the time, given that's his primary business. And now he's, helping others learn to do it. But, you know, when you become the expert, and it doesn't necessarily need the experience that Mitch has in flipping or Jared has in wholesaling. It just needs a full understanding, right? When we go to school, right, which is what Renatus is, when we go to school at a university, we are not in the field working and getting experience. We have some labs, right? We have some breakout sessions and groups. We have, like I said, labs or whatever you want to call them, where you can have some practical application to your studies. But for the most part, you're learning. And then all of the sudden, 4 years of building on top of class after class that's in a curriculum, right? Which is what we have, which is why the way Bob's set it up, right? We have a curriculum. It builds on top of each other. Even the class itself starts in a certain position and ends at a much higher level. So it builds on it the whole way. That's why you can come out of the class and go in theory and in reality go practice what you've learned. um, typically without making as many mistakes or having to go through as many, um, street smarts. There was a gentleman talking yesterday on the call. I don't know who it was. I don't remember his name, but he did mention that the Renatus classes are great, but the real learning is the street. I disagree. There are things you won't learn. I shouldn't say that. There are things you might not pick up what they're putting down because you watched the class once. But you should not have to, right? With the education and the practitioner, the way we have set the education up, there should not be um, there should not be a time where you study a class to the depth that you understand it, like you can go out and do it, and then you go make mistakes and have to street smart. Now, the caveat to this is that if you only study the ground up class and you have no idea how to write a partnership agreement and you don't know what the difference between private and hard money and you don't understand, how to manage a fix and flip where you have to judge what stuff costs, right? Per square foot and things like that. There are classes that will support my ground up class, right? But so if you just study one class, there's no school. Even when Michael went to, you know, uh, vehicle maintenance school, right? When he learned to be a maintenance technician, what was the title, Michael? I can't remember. Auto mechanics class school, right? You didn't,
Yeah.
it was 9 months, right? Wasn't it?
No, mine was actually 2 years because I did diesel also.
Oh, diesel. Okay. So you didn't have like one class, did you? No,
No.
you had to learn to turn a wrench and you had to learn to, to use a hammer. Like he had to have supporting classes in order to be a diesel mechanic. There wasn't like, oh, here's a diesel engine and here's a gasoline engine and that's the class. And then he went and started working on them. There were classes that supported his curriculum, right? So the same thing here. That's why we have a plan. That's why we look to what it is that we want to do. So we tend to, put the cart before the horse because it's human nature. We really don't want to spend much time learning. That's why we paid the 20 grand, right? We pay the 25,000 and we expect to be a real estate investor the next day. We join a group, we listen to Mitch and Maley, and we just want to partner with someone that has the experience and get our hand held in the first deal, right? Makes sense. It's natural to do that. It's a faster, easier, simpler, more realistic, or it's a better way to feel about doing a deal where you might have a less chance of making a mistake. But realistically, we don't even know how to pick the partner, right? We picked the partner by chance because somebody happened to be talking to us at an event and they had a deal or they had some money and then you've had a deal. So you just went together because the pieces fit. But we weren't, the pieces fit, but they weren't even in the same puzzle. So a combination of both. No, are you talking about education and street learning? Naturally, you're going to experience things in the street that I think because there's no one way to do a deal, that there will be experiences that you might not have heard of in the class that you studied. But in reality, I believe that every instructor combined, especially when you look at acquisition and exit classes, right? Combined with, again, if, I remember when I started, I couldn't afford, I didn't have the money yet for the whole, what would back then was the gold program or whatever. So I started what would have been the equivalent a little bit to the essentials now, but it was like 3,500 bucks and it had the wholesaling in it, but it had real estate 101, it had the tax and legal, it had negotiations and things like that. So the essentials is critical that we go through the essentials. If you study all 11, now what would be 13 essentials courses before you picked your learning path, and then you study the actual learning path, like not the fix and flip class, but the learning path, then no, Tamara, you should not need to have street smarts that kick you in the ass and punch you in the face. You shouldn't need it because every one of those instructors is sharing with you our experiences in what to look out for, especially when you watch Real Estate Red Flags, right? When you watch Real Estate 101, when you listen to Bob's negotiations class, when you study the tax and legal class and you set up your entity correctly. I mean, you should not have these issues. If you're lending people money and you realistically study Matt's class and maybe even ask him a few questions through email or however you communicate, or get on one of these calls and ask me or Dane about raising money or lending money, you know, there's no way you should find yourself in a situation where you've lent money to someone and you're going to lose it, right? Because our basis is lending money on real estate that is undervalued, right? So you have a particular CLTV, cumulative loan to value. The hard money plus your money plus equity is where you should be. So you should be at maybe 80, max 90%. So you can fire sell the property in a foreclosure, right? Which means you should know how to foreclose, right? Nobody that lends money to somebody in a second position probably knows how to foreclose because they're never going to expect to foreclose. The other thing is, depending on your money and how important it is to you, depends on whether you get personal guarantees or you get company guarantees. And then are the people even collectible? But nobody looks at these things because we have an inherent trust of people. But no real lender in the world trusts anybody. They don't care about people. They care about the deal, right? They don't lend on emotion. In borrowing, I don't I don't ever put myself in jeopardy when I borrow money. So I present an offer that someone can't refuse, right? Like the mafia. And so they're typically more ignorant than me. And it's not like I'm taking advantage of them, but I'm going to make it so that it looks good to them, but it's better for me. And if they want to take their money elsewhere, then they should get the education and they should learn to get double digit returns from somewhere else. But most of the time, people can't, right? The good news is I am collectible, right? If there's a problem. The good news is I have solutions built into place to where if there is a problem, then typically I'm going to figure out how to get their money back to them, right? So my point is that Renatus does help you avoid hard knock. It totally should, but human nature allows us, or I guess you know, history, human nature. And fortunately, I believe there is a human factor in Renatus, right? I think it separates us where we do trust people. And most of the people in Renatus are good, and the people that make a few mistakes, it's not intentional, generally speaking. But it costs everybody. It costs the person that made the mistakes time and money themselves, even though they didn't have money in the deal. And it costs the person money. That's just, we're playing a different game. You're not sitting on the damn couch. You're not relying on the government. You're taking control. And a lot of times that comes with risks. The good news is when people that rely on other people and are government and church and family dependent, when something goes wrong in their life and an illness comes up, a loss of job comes up, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. They don't have the knowledge, the skill set, the surroundings, the network to get off, dust themselves off, and try to go it again, right? They don't fail forward. They fail backwards because they're not putting themselves out there into situations like this where they're listening to someone with experience and they're learning from other people. They're in a mastermind. They're getting coached. They're getting educated. They're growing mentally, right? They're not reading self-development books, right? It's interesting. You talk about, you watch one of my top 3 favorite movies, Cocktail, right? And Tom Cruise is always reading self-help books. And his mentor was that other bartender, right? Who did it the fast way, the easy way. He was the charismatic leader. He went after it. And at the end of the day, kills himself at the end of the movie, right? And he says to Tom, he goes, you know what? I should have been reading the self-help books. But instead, I wanted it fast, I wanted it all, and I wanted it easy, right? And it killed him. It literally killed him. And Tom did it the hard way. He learned the hard way. He toughed it out, and he failed constantly. He was always in the wrong with the wrong person, and the wrong partner, and the wrong thing. But at the end of the day, he ended up with cocktails and dreams because he read the books, he did the studying, and he learned under other people, and he learned from other people's mistakes. But it's a longer road. It's a harder road, right? Because it's not fast and easy. But this isn't a fast and easy game. But relatively speaking, like Michael, I just demonstrated with Michael and with myself, you could do this for 15 years, and make $4 or $5 million or maybe more. I don't know what other people make or have or do, whatever it is. But it's not 40 freaking years, right? It's not 50 years and paying 40% tax at 100,000, 200,000 a year. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is those people are relying on. I'm telling you, I read an article the other day. I was, and it was a training I was doing. I can't remember. My my recall memory is crazy. But anyway, the 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 it's tough, and I'm speaking in generalities and not, there. Don't get me wrong, there are people, there has to be, otherwise it would just go away, right? The 401k and the IRA work, right? But they work for certain people, and I believe that they work for certain people that take risk based on knowledge and experience and the right advice from their very good financial planner, right? Where they're having conversations with their financial planner on a regular basis. My dad was one of these people. He was very active in his own retirement, although he had a university sponsored individual who would meet with him and work with him year round, right? When the crash of '08 came, the losses he experienced were significant. I barely understood it because I was flat broke in '08, right? I mean, I couldn't even fathom what my dad had built over the last 30 years. And he decided he knew he was going to take 10 more years of work to get even close to where he was. And he never got back to where he was prior to the '08 crash in his retirement plan. But he was very aggressive in 3 different sectors after the crash. And um, and I believe that if you have a doctor or a lawyer or anybody, a salesperson, and they are making not 40 or 60 or 80 grand a year, but they're making 80, 100, 120, and they are very aggressive in their younger age. Like when you listen to Dave Ramsey, you put 30, 40% into your retirement, and you take some risks on IPOs or very early on entries, right? Because you're having conversations and you're getting in and out. You're not day trading, but you are getting in and out, which is costing you fees, but you are moving back. You're not just sitting and hoping that it waits, right? The rest of the people in this article, in this training I was doing, they are broke. The system sets people up. There's no, it is a free enterprise capitalist society where there's no way a brokerage is going to sit back and let you make more money than them. And no broker wants to make a minimum salary. They don't want to make 40 grand a year. They want to make 400,000 a year. So they are absolutely getting as many clients as they can, right? You think about Tom Cruise in freaking Show Me the Money in what's the movie? Come on, it's one of my favorites. I love Tom Cruise. Right? And he's like, less clients, less money, right? More personal touch. They don't exist. It doesn't, the formula doesn't work. The brokerage at Wall Street and New York, they don't allow for it. Even though they've tried because of all the crap that went down with the way, it doesn't matter. They have multiple clients. They got to trade multiple times a day. They got to move money all the time. And that's how they make their fees, right? And I know it's changed now, but now it's based on a bulk amount. So if they got 2 clients, they're not making any money. They're not making $400 to $1 million a year like most of those guys and girls. No way. So you can't have a personal touch. It's counterintuitive. It's counterproductive. You have to have multiple clients, right? So anyway, go ahead, Tamara. What's your question?
Let me see if I articulate this correctly. So we have a family member right now that I'm trying to help with this. So, we're taught, no one outside of Renatas for the most part are taught to like put their money in trust and like essentially become as invisible as possible. So when you get to those old, what we're seeing happen with this family member is they did well for themselves, they saved their money, and now like the government is like, I mean, their only option is essentially to drain their wealth to be put in a comfortable position as they get older. But it's such a screwed up, excuse me, it's screwed up because that
How
money
old are
should,
they?
what, in
Do
their
they have to
seven.
take a minimum dividend?
See, this is the challenge. I don't know so much how this works, but like they have to essentially spend their money down, which is not, it's a good amount. Like they did decently, in a messed up system, but now the system wants to like essentially make them spend all their money down. They track it back 5 years, and I'm just learning this. I don't know a lot about it. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way we can help them not lose all the hard-earned money to the government.
Well, first of all, they have to set up a business, right? If they're retired and they're taking a minimum dividend, right? There's a certain amount of 59 and a half, but at 62 or 65, I can't remember, they have to start taking a minimum, right? And the government's going to calculate what it is because the government wants to get their taxes because they've grown their accounts tax free. So number one is whatever their minimums, if they get with somebody who knows what they're doing, right? They take their minimum, they figure out what their minimum is to live on, and then they reinvest the money after taxes and they put it back into a solo 401k under their business. Then they can start to match. And you're right. Then the trust owns the solo 401k, and then they can pass that on to their children because they're taking the money they don't need to spend every single month. And instead of putting it in now you got to understand, folks, the reason this is we're not taught like there's we don't trust the trust. We don't trust lawyers. We don't trust people that are estate planners and things like that. It's only becoming real popular over the last several years because people are tired of the tax code, right? They're finally, you know what I mean? But here's the thing. We got to remember is that 99% or call it 96% of the people are not in a position when they retire that they have more money than they need. They're just you guys, it doesn't work. The stats haven't changed in 50 years. Since we started, they got rid of pensions. It is amazing. I have a friend here. I have two. One guy just told me that he retired from FedEx after 31 years at FedEx. And his pension is very minimal. So he's looking forward to the day that he's 65 and he can start taking his Social Security. And the two of them will be able to live on that after they get to Social Security, right? As long as Social Security doesn't go away. So I'm guessing he's probably going to double his pension. He's making $1,800 a month, and he's going to be up to $3,600 a month, which is typically the average what people get between Social Security and their 401k. 3,600 a month, and they're living on 70,000, 40,000, 50,000 a year, right? It's just crazy. Anyway, so what I'm telling you is it is important that there are ways, but they need to work with a professional who understands how to reinvest it. Or like you said, when I, in my opinion, in my experience, the number one inventor of this philosophy was in my opinion Robert Kiyosaki, right? Where not only do you need to be a doctor or a lawyer or a top salesperson or $100,000, and then if you're only at 100 grand a year in today's day and age, which is not a lot of money, right? Then you need to deploy some Dave Ramsey stuff, right? You have to understand investing early, investing a lot early so you can get not only the match, but you're really doubling down on your investment and you're living below your means as a younger person, right? And then Kiyosaki says not only do you have to have enough money at the end of the month, more money than your bills, right? But then you have to self-direct your retirement, right? Which means you have to understand where to put it. and how to use it. And that's why he uses real estate, because real estate has the tax benefits, but then it also has appreciation and depreciation, and then it also has leverage, like we talk about in all of our intros, right? But he doesn't want you to go put your money into a REIT and make 6 or 8% from somebody making more money than you are. They're making double digit, triple digit returns on someone else's money, and you're making 6 to 8% on your money, right? That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about you being responsible for your retirement once you have more money at the end of the month than you need, right? And that's the rich dad. And so no matter what it is, now that these people are done and they've done very well for themselves, they still need to learn, which is why Renatus would be good for them. Number one, it's a write-off. Number two is they can start a business. They can even be a sole proprietor. They don't, unless they're going to own real estate, they can have an LLC, but to hold it in for liability purposes, but they're not doing anything risky where they're going to get sued, and you know what I mean? And so, they're not going to go out and necessarily do fix and flips and stuff, but they're going to put their money into real estate. So now they become a real estate professional. They're no longer doing anything else, and therefore it's their primary income source. So now they have real estate professionals, which gives them even more tax deductions. And then they have a solo 401 because they work for themselves. So they have a solo 401k and they're their employee. If they're husband and wife, they can be employee of both. So they each can have a company and they each can be an employee of the other person's company. So they can double down and double match. You could put 80 grand a year in each company instead of 40. Tax free, and then into the trust. That's $160,000 a year that they could put away tax free after pulling it out of getting it taxed. Because when it comes out, it's going to be taxed, right? It's going to be taxed. I mean, my mom's going through it right now. I'm working with her and a professional. My mom is at a place, my dad, but my dad was still working. When your dad is still working, or when your person is still working, they don't have to take a minimum. The minimum dividend goes down. The minute they retire, the minimum dividend goes up, right? The minimum withdrawal that the government requires. So then you have to start doing something else with the money. So my dad was still working with the guy at the university, and he was taking, $5,000-6,000 a month and putting it into these mini funds. And it was making 6% a year, right? So he was getting taxed less and then making money on money he didn't need to spend, right? The other thing is, depending on the person, it's important that you talk to this planner and understand what they can give to their family while they're living. At the minimum, it's now 18 grand per child per year that they can give tax-free. No taxes to the individual that receives the money and no taxes to the individual that gives the money, right? And so if they both have retirement accounts, they can do it twice. They could give their kids 36 grand a year just based on those two tax benefits right there, right? And then they can start to invest into their children, loans, that sort of thing. So you can find ways to pay your children while they're living their inheritance instead of waiting till they're dead. And so they can enjoy it together. They can go on vacations together. So yeah, go ahead.
So this is stuff I'm familiar with, but it's good to hear you talk about it. So, but the thing is, so they didn't do all this stuff. So now there's just a large sum of money just sitting there. So, and from what I understand, the government tracks it 5 years back. So if we were to move all this into businesses now, if I were to, get this person to do this, my concern is the government's still going to go after it now.
So if I was you, I don't really know what you're talking about. I don't know if they've already taken all the money out and it's sitting. It doesn't. I don't know exactly what you mean. I would make an appointment with the new accounting firm that we have. I think they're very good. I've moved my stuff over to them, and they are tax planners. They are proactive. They are extremely aggressive on what it is you want to plan it. They're not looking to just do your taxes.
Yeah. Okay.
I would make an appointment with them for this family member, and let them know that this is information that is in our classes, and at the very least they buy the essentials from you, and they can learn to do it and save themselves money. But more importantly, they'd be educated to have educated conversations with their tax professionals. You know what I mean? Like when you talk to a lawyer, when you talk to a real estate professional, when you talk to a contractor, whatever it is, you don't want to be ignorant, right? You don't want to be in the room and not have a clue. You know, if you're not in tune with politics and someone's talking politics to you and you don't even know the event happened, which happens to me a lot because I don't pay attention a lot to things. I have no clue. I'm like, oh, what's that? Oh, I didn't know he went to Russia and said, you know, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? I don't pay attention to a lot of things that Trump says, but even though I love the guy, um, because he just says stuff all the time. And if I paid attention, I wouldn't get any work done. So a lot of times I'm ignorant in that conversation. But when it comes to me and my tax professional, because I study the classes, I do little podcasts and things, or listen to these you know, I do some reading online and try to, you know, do this kind of thing. Then I know what I'm looking for when I'm having a conversation with my tax professional about my mom's situation. Anyway, that would be helpful to them. You know what I mean? If they really are concerned about this money and what to do with it, um, it's, you know, it's important. It's kind of like if you think about your prospects for marketing Renatus, and the prospect goes online and can find all kinds of information on real estate. They could really learn how to do all of this stuff without buying Renatus, right? The problem is they're so ignorant, they don't know who to believe. So someone's going to attract them, right? Whether they're attractive looking, or they just have a charismatic voice to them, or they like their background, or they like their color of their brand, whatever it is. The ad got them at the right time at the right place. It just happened to be their worst day of their life, and they catch on to this one person, or this group, or this promotion, or this ad, and they buy that program, right? And so they're being told by one person. They have no idea. They have no concept or background or education or they don't have anything to compare it to. So they just have to trust it. They just have to believe that this is how you wholesale, because they haven't learned themselves, right? With Renatus, you know, we've taken all of the guesswork out because we vetted all the people that are doing the instructing, right? They don't, when they buy Renatus, when you bought Renatus, it's updated on it all the time. We add classes all the time. We remove instructors, not because they don't know what they're talking about, but because new material, because they don't have time anymore, and there's new upcoming experiences that won't come in. So we're always enhancing the opportunity, and Bob has vetted them all, right? He's not. There's no one selling their stuff, right? If I was to start a program, right, I would want to sell my stuff. So I'm gonna develop the program and have AI and all my marketing geniuses, and I'm gonna pay to develop a program to sell it, not to like just give them all the right material, and to be exactly perfectly politically correct when it comes to, you know, them buying a product and having the best product and the best guarantee and the best money back opportunity and the guarantee that it's going to work for them, right? I'm going to sell a program that makes me money, right? Because that's would be the reason, unless I want to be a philanthropist. Bob is a philanthropist, right? Bob and the people that are doing the educating no longer are getting paid to do the educating. They're doing the educating just to give back. They're giving them everything we have. We're giving them our experiences. There's nothing we're holding back, and we're not selling anything. Bob's not selling anything. You know what I'm saying? It's all vetted for them. It's a completely different program than everything else out there, if that makes sense. All right. So, Tamara, I don't know if I answered, or I don't know if anybody else has any comments to that either, or if one adds to you know, what you're talking about. But like the point I was trying to make originally is that we are set. When I watched, you know, when I was taking a look at this, you know, it's crazy to me. And I just can't even tell you the examples of the people that I run into up here. Um, you know, and it's nobody's fault really. um, I mean, I guess in theory it's the person's fault because um, you know, they didn't take control, you know, of their own destiny. And you know, when you grow up, you get married, you have kids or whatever you do, you adopt or you live your life, you get a job, you climb the ladder, life gets in the way, you get sick, your family gets sick, you got to take care of your parents, you got to take care of your kids, you got to do this, that, and the other thing, you got to take care of yourself, lost a job. All the real life experiences happen to all of us in some way, shape, or form. And at no point do we find ourselves as much time as we have on the earth. It goes by so fast and we're caught up in our own lives all the time. And the time that we do have to think about taking control of our lives and really looking at the mirror and wondering if we're going to be okay in the future, we want to relax, we want to go on vacation, we want to take a break, we're tired and stressed, and we want to spend time with family and friends, and so we make choices to go into debt and to spend money instead of invest it, and because we reward ourselves, and we live in a capitalist society, we live in a free country, and we have that opportunity, and it makes sense. So and the powers that be, whatever that is, the government themselves or the Wall Streets of the world, they know this, and so they naturally they're allowed to take advantage of that ignorance, and so it makes sense that the majority of people retire broke, and it's unfortunate, but I know people that have even worked at tech. One of my wife's sister's best friends. I mean, I I mean, she had a good position there for a long time, and she's just broke. Like, she doesn't even know what she's gonna do. And her lifestyle has left her in a situation where, she's not that healthy. So she's not like she can just go out. I mean, she'd have to, and could you imagine, imagine being at a retirement age and having to like rechange your entire life. You got to start getting healthy first so you can even have the physical strength to go out and start a business or like it's you'd rather just be dependent on friends, family, and government because that's the majority of that pie. Like when we share that in the intro, it's not made up. It's real. Right? There's a reason Dave Ramsey is so good and so popular is because he's not trying to share with people to he's not trying to teach people to take risk and go out and make money for themselves and double their money and retire early and all those things. He just doesn't want anybody to retire broke, right? He's talking to the majority of people. So when people call up and they're like, you know what? All we have left is our mortgage. We're thinking about buying a rental. And he's like, you're an idiot. You're not going to do that. You're going to pay off your mortgage. You're going to double down. And then when you're done paying off your mortgage and you have no debt, not just debt free from credit cards, congratulations on that, by the way. You know what I mean? And it's only taken you 3 years to do that. You know what I mean? They've done the Dave Ramsey 10-step program. It's fantastic. It is for the 95%, right? And I have to tell you that I wish I did more Dave Ramsey. You know what I mean? I'm over the top the opposite way. Fortunately, my wife is very good at Dave Ramsey, and she has reserves and savings and there's nothing wrong with. She also owns a business, and she also takes advantage of the tax code, and she also is very aggressive with her investments with me, in our real estate and her own solo 401k and stuff like that. But she does, I think it's good. I the rest of it needs to be left up. I imagine he hopes that people that go through his debt-free program and 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 then go ahead and only have a mortgage on their house left, or they paid off their cars, they paid off their credit cards, maybe they have a couple mortgages on a rental or something like that, or they have a student loan left. I hope that I imagine he probably hopes that they find a program like Renatus or something, or some professional investing financial planner who would take them and work with them, having all this extra money now, right? But he's not going to promote it because he knows that people take a shortcut, that people don't want to take the time to learn, that people are going to look at their situation and want to double down and cash out quickly and do it the easy way. And he knows that doesn't work. So anyway, I don't even remember what I was saying. Let's see, register. Okay, yeah. Oh, her note taker. That's pretty cool. Any other common questions? Can't believe it's already 11. That was a fast hour. Um, I don't know, some thoughts today walking my dogs before our class. So I had some things to share because you know what? I'm going through the same thing. I'm going to look at my paperwork. I'm going to work on a lot of stuff today. Look at my 5-year plan and make some decisions. Maybe we're also thinking about I don't know if retreat's the right word, but I'm looking forward to putting together something after the E3 where we're going to have some sort of event that is gonna, take people to a different level. I think it'll be an event that isn't like all, I don't know. It'll have some aspects, but I think it'll be something that could be really fun. But yeah, Michael.
All right, folks. So thanks for tuning in for another beautiful day, another Takeoff Tuesday. Let's get to work. Thanks, Bill, Tamara, everybody for participating. And you got your goals set out there. What are you gonna do? Get your plane tickets, get your hotel room, get everything lined up so it's no longer a surprise. And then remember, decision means cut off all other opportunities. So when you decide
Hey,
that this is the way it is, then everything else will start to rearrange. But if you stay fuzzy, it's going to get harder and harder as time goes on. So awesome.
hey, Michael, can I ask Bill a quick question?
It's going to
Yeah.
Or,
cost you.
or are we
No,
finishing
go
up?
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just want to ask, Bill, I know you do, you've been doing short-term rental. Well, you too, Michael. I don't know how you guys do it, but how do you guys, deal with, with reviews? Because, I had a guest and, everything was fine and no complaints. And then she gave me like all fours. In fact, and I gave her the five, and I'm just generous when it comes to that. And I could have kicked her out, in there because she didn't comply. So well, you know what? They have the kids, they have the tournament for the baseball, and I don't want, Airbnb said, well, you can kick him out because there's like 5 adults and 4 kids, and she actually had 5 kids in there from the camera that I can see. And but I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna spoil their fun and all that. But yeah, unfortunately, they lost the game. Because they left early, and she told me that they couldn't play very long that Sunday. But yeah, and there's no complaint, and there's like I got flat out four and everything, and I'm like, what? I mean, I could have. I was very generous with from her anyway to give her like a 5 star and stuff. But so how do you give or maybe what would you say, like I mean, I know I was reading some, Randy Pertler. I was reading some of his comments from his luxury short-term rentals, and they were showing this, like, yeah, 5 star is really um it's really important to them, but like a less than 5 star is a failure, a total failure in their part and all that. So I just want to see what do you guys do as far as like letting them know that it's so important that to communicate, or what's your process when it comes to that so you
So
can make
how
sure that
long
you
were
have
they
a
there?
5 star.
How long were they there?
3 days.
Okay. Did you communicate with them during the 3 days?
Yeah, I
What
did.
about what? Like,
Well,
was it
yeah.
just?
Well, when they checked in, well, because I asked for the ID for all adults, and they didn't give it, and then they already checked in
What do you mean you
because,
asked for ID?
yeah, for ID for all adults,
What do you mean you asked for ID?
their ID, driver's license.
You had them give you your ID?
No, them
Why?
for, well, because that's what, we're doing. And Randy's asking that. And, here in the community, everybody's asking here that
That's
I know.
To me, that's crazy. I'd give you a 4 star for asking. I don't ever ask for anybody's ID. Why would you? Do you get your do like that's
I
just
do.
oh
I
that's
do.
yeah. I think
Bob
it's weird. Okay,
Tierney,
so
if
you
you look
asked
at
for
If you look at Bob Tierney's review, he's got like a lot of 5 stars, and he asked for ID. And I think he said there's might be a couple that, he said that they were not asking, they did not want to give the
I've
ID.
been a
And then
super
he's,
host for like 7 years.
huh?
I've been a super host for 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
So
was Bob Tierney. He's been a super host for, um, and I don't know how
what
long.
I'm
I think
saying
he's
is
five and six.
I've
But
never
anyway,
heard of anybody asking for so that doesn't matter. So you asked for ID, they didn't give it to you. So my question was so one of the things I always do, I think the number one thing is people like communication. So every once in a while, I'll just check with everybody that's in and I'll just say, hey, just want to make sure your stay is perfect. Let me know. I personally think it's stupid where people put, less than like when you get in an Uber car and they're like, hey, less than a 5 star review is bad. I'm like, no kidding. Everybody knows how the system works, right? Number two is you can't worry about what someone gives you, right? Steve says to respond positively. I would agree. Number one is I would I would message her and say, I see that you gave me 4 stars. Can you tell me why? All the way across the board. I thought everything was fine. I didn't know there was any issues. I gave you 5 stars. You know, I know you can't change it, but maybe you can just let me know why. And then once they give you a reason, you could put it, you could obviously talk to the public review about that if you want to respond. I've never had to respond to a bad review. And I've had bad reviews for no reason. Or I shouldn't say bad, but not perfect reviews. But um, you can't control it. So you really can't let it
mm,
bother you, number one. But the
right.
only way to prevent it is to have constant communication to make sure everything is perfect while they're there, right?
Mm,
And then you can just assume that most people do just give a 5 star because everybody knows to give 5 stars unless there's an issue that wasn't handled properly. I have issues all the time. Like every
mm-hmm,
one of my properties, there's always something wrong, right? But I'm very fast to answer and very fast to get a response to it. And sometimes they don't even want you to fix it. They're like, no big deal, just want to let you know. Thanks for getting back to me so quickly. You know, the railing fell off the wall or something where the towel rack was, or who knows? The sink backed up and they had to use the plunger, but it's fine now. Okay, that's great. You want me to send a plumber? No, we're just letting you know. We got it figured out. And I still get a 5 star review. That
yeah.
would be,
See, that was,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
so that was, that was the whole thing because like everything. Well, when they checked in and they didn't give the ID, so I talked with, Airbnb. I thought, well, they didn't give me, the IDs first, and then they finally give the ID. They were the first one. The husband and wife checked in, so she gave me their ID when when I was asking, but then she never did
You have them
give.
text.
I didn't worry about the other three because they didn't send it. But
Do you have
Airbnb said,
text to you?
I'm sorry, what was that, Bill?
Do you have them text it to you?
No, it's on the platform. Everything is on the platform.
Got it.
So, and then when I said, yeah, and then they checked in, and I just welcomed them, and I said, well, like if there's anything I can help you with, just let me know, and I'm here. So that's basically what I said. And then she didn't really have, anything. The only thing that's, well, the following day, which, she said she asked for the Wi-Fi. And which I already did. I sent it with the address because otherwise they wouldn't find the place if she didn't get it because it came with the address. I sent it. It's on the platform, but I sent it to her anyway. And a day before. So the address and the Wi-Fi info and all that. But she did ask me that, and he said, "Oh yeah, yeah." And so and she wasn't really, um. Again, she wasn't, asking. She just, she would not respond for like many hours, and then she said, "Okay," and she just said, "Okay," and because I said it was sent yesterday with this, so I basically re-texted her what I sent a day before. They checked in, and so yeah, and everything was good. And then when I'm trying to think, she had another question. No, I think that was it. And then when they checked in, and then we did have a conversation the following day, and as I said, everything was fine. So every day we had a conversation, like like a text message going out. They wanted to check out late, and I said, I told them in the beginning, I said, as long as if there's nobody will check in, that day I will let you know, and then that would be fine. And so the night before they check out, so I didn't have anybody to check in the next day, and I said, well, okay, well, are you so interested with that? But they said they're not going to do that because the game started early. Because again, they were in the tournament and they started early, so they have to get out, go to the park, go to the game, anyway. So they're gonna check out. So they checked out before 11. And so that morning when they checked out, he was just asking, and again, it was on the platform. It's in the house rules. The garbage, will be put. There's a garbage bins, outside the door, the kitchen door, like the patio door. And but she asked me that, she asked me if what do we do with the garbage, and so I texted that to her, and that was it. And I just say, hope you have a great game, and hope you had a great, and have a
Yeah, I
great,
would just, I mean, I would definitely ask her why she gave you that review then.
mm,
I would message her and be like, what's the problem? Is there anything you can do, or can you, advise me on I can do better? I thought we had great communication. I was very lenient on a lot of the house rules and whatnot. And, I felt like I treated you well. Is there something I did wrong? I don't understand why you
okay.
did this, but that's,
Right.
again,
Because isn't it like if you have more of like the lower score, would that show your listing less, if that's the case? Or maybe just people won't want to stay there because you don't have all 5 stars. So
I,
how
I mean, I have no idea. You'd have to ask
okay.
and
Yeah.
do some research as to what it does. And,
Yeah.
don't,
And
I don't think
yeah.
it's detrimental. You know what I mean? People are going
Mm-hmm.
to price and amenities are what drives the booking, regardless of, unless every review is like, this person's a loser, they come over to my house unwanted, and knock on the door when I'm here. It was a terrible experience. I would never stay there again. I mean, that's something else. But just
Mm-hmm.
putting 4 stars, it could be any reason. It's not like they wrote a bunch of stuff. Like, what did she write in the actual review?
No, she just basically said that, like, if you say, give like wording, so she just says the house is very spacious. That was all she said. That
Oh,
was all she
yeah.
said.
So most people
So
just read the review. They don't even notice that. I don't think you should worry about it. I mean,
mm,
again, it's water under the bridge. There's not, I mean, I would just, message her. You could reply to the review if you want,
mm-hmm.
and
I
felt,
haven't replied yet because I think I know that we have like 2 weeks. Well, I did reply to, well, see, already it's already posted because of I already give her my review. And but of course you can't see her review up until we put ours. So when I did that, but what here's the thing also, what Airbnb was telling me, the person that I spoke to, she said if I delete, my review, it would delete. So would that delete, her review too? Because if I did not reply to her review, then that would not even post. It would not post. So, but because I replied or I put a review, so that's why it got posted. So I don't know if you know this, but because when this said if I take my review out, then it will not post. So would hers would stay, or would that go away too?
I
So
have
that's
no,
what I have to double check with Airbnb.
yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't think one 4 star review is that big a deal. And,
Mm,
I would just, if you're really worried about it and you want to do something about it, you could definitely ask, communicate with her
mm-hmm.
as to why, but I would just ignore it.
Okay. All right. Any take on that, Michael? I mean, I know you have Airbnb. I mean, I don't know what his
Yeah, it's I mean when I'm looking as a consumer and I see a 4 star, it's not a big red flag for me. So
mm,
and then like what Steve was saying in the chat here too, it's like Sometimes it has nothing to do with you. They just have their own vibe about the city or the street, and it has nothing to do with the property itself. And some people will just only do 4 stars their whole life. They just go around trolling people who want 5 stars and only give them 4. So if you did everything right in your world, I wouldn't stress it.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things that Randy said, they would say apparently they will tell people that 5 star is, our business thrives on a 5 star, something like that. So let me know if, if we there's something that we can't, we show on the platform that you don't see in there, or something around that line. But okay, all right, I'm just wondering. It's I think I like the long term better.
Hey,
Yeah,
Michael, let me
definitely
chime
it's
in
not
really
my,
quick.
so but
Go ahead,
maybe if I
Steve.
can
Let's hear
scale
it.
it.
Yeah, so one of the things I'm hearing from Gilda, every 5-star businesses get bad reviews. The one thing that sets them apart is how they deal with it. It's how they address it. If you address it publicly, hey, just respond positively to that person, that will set you apart from somebody looking at reviews. So just
Mm,
address it. If you delete whatever you post, it won't show publicly, but it will still affect your scores. So your internal scores are when people see for qualify you for a 5-star host, a super host. So that will still take into effect, but it won't show publicly if you delete your actual review.
okay. So no,
Yeah.
is that so if I delete it, then hers get deleted too, or no?
No, it doesn't get deleted. It's just not showing publicly, but it's still considered in your. If you go into your insights, like if she leave actual feedback on what needs to be addressed, usually if you go to your insights, Airbnb will show you what that is, whether it was cleanliness, check-in process, or something. So those are where you check for those feedbacks.
Mm, okay.
So,
I
but
haven't
I mean,
asked her first because I have I thought I'll wait in the 2 weeks or so. It's
people,
on.
I mean, people will do that normally. It doesn't have anything to do with the
Mm-hmm,
property. It's just how they feel. So.
right. Well, yes, I think that had something to do with that too because they lost the game, so the tournament. So that probably and she literally just did that right after. I think it was like maybe an hour or so after, well, they got home. And because he said, they got home because they left stuff, like all those couple of things outside. I mean, nothing, valuable, but it was like the kids, they were playing with this, like almost like a inflatable, kind of like what you use for the pools, So, but they were using it to like, basically do boxing or wrestling out there. And so they left it. And I was going to send it to her and all that because the cleaner saw them, and I thought, well, they're still in the area because they're at the game. But then she said they just got home because they did not play for very long that day. So,
I
I mean,
wanted to
that's
point out something, Gilda. You notice how many times you diverted from your your typical process? Usually those are red flags from the beginning. If you start getting leeways from the customers or pushback before they check in, those are signs like this is the type of customers you're getting.
well,
And
what is that? Well, what was that?
like for example, you said you got pushed back with them from checking, so they wouldn't provide you their IDs. So
Mm-hmm.
once you start getting those signals and you start giving into them, so you're allowing these things to happen, right? So that's basically some of the things that I paid attention to what you were saying. You're allowing this, you're allowing that, you're allowing this, and now it turns out to that. So it was all like a domino effect from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I think that's a lesson
Okay.
from there.
Yeah, I think, yeah, again, it might have been better if I kicked him out.
I think that's a lesson there. You just got to look at it and see what the lesson is. So, but there's a
Okay.
lesson from allowing them
Okay.
from the beginning to after they give you red flags and you not address those right away. I think that gives room for getting to that end.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you so much, Michael.
Hey, yeah. And Steve too.
John,
Appreciate.
did you need me? I'm in the meeting.
Yep. Looks like Aubrey's got a question. Go ahead,
Johnny?
Aubrey.
Okay, yeah. Just with that, I don't know if Gilda's still listening too, but as another Airbnb host, I would just be honest with my reviews of the guests because when we're generous and um don't necessarily tell the truth, it can be frustrating from another host to see that someone has all 5 stars, but they don't necessarily behave that way. So I know we want to be like accommodating and kind and give people the benefit of the doubt, but when we're giving them 5 stars just to be nice, that can kind of be a gray area too.
That's a great point. Also, teamwork makes the dream work. So taking it from all angles, I appreciate that. Okay. All right, folks. Well, let's go get to work. Yeah, we got plenty of people who don't know we exist, and it's your opportunity to change that for them. So thanks again, Bill, for a great day. Steve, your input, Gilda, Aubrey, Tamara, Eric, Heidi, all you beautiful people. We'll see you very soon. We'll see you tomorrow morning at least. Bye for now.